I go by Jerry Doody. I am a PALS group facilitator. I run 3 PALS groups, one in Franklin County, one in Chittenden, and one in the North Country out in Newport and Linden. PALS groups are made up of, I do run one in Washington County too. PALS groups are made up of folks that are registered with the agency that are in the process of adjusting to vision loss. And PALS groups help them do that by providing them with educational information, reducing their isolation, their personal isolation, by getting them out a couple of times a month, and providing them with really necessary peer involvement with others who are losing their vision or going through the same process as they are.
And how long have you worked with VABVI?
I've worked with VABVI for 2.5 years now. I'm retired. I was a former social worker and rehab counselor in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you receive services from VABVI?
I went to a PALS group that really helped me get used to being in Vermont before, in fact, the Essex PALS group, now the Essex PALS group, before I led I led one. And I also received mobility services from VABVI so I could orient myself to my new neighborhoods. I was living with my daughter for a while, and the instructor helped me orient myself to that neighborhood. And then when I moved, I needed to orient myself to the place where I live now. And even now, I have a new guide dog who's Hugo, and Hugo and I need still a little bit of orientation every once in a while. So I use those services frequently.
What does that mean when you need a little more orientation?
If there's a place that I need to get to, or that I want to get to, that is very difficult without proper sidewalks that go to it, I will often ask either another sighted person, but mostly a mobility instructor, to work with me to get there as safely as possible. Vermont, as you know, doesn't have a lot of sidewalk. It's sometimes very unsafe to travel, even with a guide dog, on the shoulder of the roads. So I personally get orientation. There are others that might not get that, but I provide myself with that because, well, it's available, and it's one more thing that helps me remain safe. Already this guide dog's been with me 3 months, and he has stopped to let 6 or 7 cars go by, coming out of driveways and so forth. Anything I can do to be safe is what I avail myself of when I'm walking on the streets.
I guess the most valuable way VABVI is helping individuals with visual impairment.
I think, number one, providing them with needed information and instruction to cope with the loss of vision, which is a hugely traumatic event in people's lives. I think that that instruction takes the form of mobility, it takes the form of rehab teaching, so that people can manage in their homes, and it takes the form of group instruction with the PALS group, and of course the children's services is a huge part of what VABVI does, and it's very, very important for young children.
Have you had any involvement with the iOS training program, technology training?
I actually ran a couple of groups. I personally was, VABVI allowed me to work with some of the children before I was hired as a PALS group facilitator, at training people with iOS, and also I occasionally will help somebody within a group I run my own volunteer chat line on Thursday nights for people interested in talking iOS. And you know, of course, I refer people to the training program now. And occasionally, when there's a Braille user that is involved with iOS that needs help, I'm called on to help that person out. So I just hope VABVI keeps going for Vermont and Vermonters' sakes for many, many, many years, because it provides a valuable service to people who are in great need of service that is unique to people who are blind. It is not available anywhere else. That without huge outlays of funds for people. So I think to provide the most expedient service with the simplest kinds of solutions possible, the most cost-effective solutions, is still what we need, you know, here in Vermont. You know, I think to keep our partnership going with the state rehab folks is extremely valuable and important. I happen to be on a couple of committees, that the Library for the Blind Committee and the SRC Committee, which is a state rehab council, that link our two agencies. So I think those kinds of linkages are very important for us as well.